Raise your hand if when you ever walk through the laundry aisle at your local store, if it makes you feel sick. I have seen this comment dozens of times on my YouTube channel and on my videos, and I feel the same way. I'm going to share what I have discovered is really going on with our laundry products. I'm also going to share why they could be making you sick and how you can get around this and use laundry products that are actually very safe and effective. And you might be thinking that laundry detergent is harmless, because I was thinking this a while ago for many years. But if you're using certain products, it is leaving behind chemicals. These are carcinogenic chemicals, chemicals that cause cancer, also hormone disrupting chemicals, and you're wearing this on your skin, you're getting it on your bedding, you're sleeping all night in it. So this video is a part 2 to my previous video that I just did on dishwasher detergent, and a lot of you said that you'd be interested in laundry detergent, so here we are. And I'm just going to tell you a quick story. I was talking to my mom, and she had been telling me that she wasn't feeling well. Then my video on dishwasher detergent published, and she texted me that night, and she told me that she put 2 and 2 together and she figured out why she wasn't feeling well. She said that she had switched to the Cascade gel that I was talking about in my video. She said it's the only thing that she had done differently, and she thinks it caused a fibromyalgia flare-up. She said she hasn't had a flare-up in years. Now, Cascade, don't come after me. This is just what my mom is thinking because it's the only thing that she did differently. So I looked into this a bit, and I'm going to put this up because I just thought it was interesting and something I hadn't thought of before. And maybe it's helpful if you or anyone you know has fibromyalgia. But it looks like that, yes, cleaning products and other chemicals in your home can cause flare-ups and other issues. This is exactly why we need to pay attention to dishwasher detergents, laundry detergents. You know, sometimes even tiny changes could cause problems and we don't even realize it. Traditional detergent formulas are packed with chemicals like phosphates, chlorine, optical brighteners, and synthetic fragrances. And all of these detergents will leave a residue on your clothing and your bedding. Okay, so there was a study done many years ago, and I'm going to put this study up, but it found that laundry detergents emitted carcinogenic chemicals, including acetone, limonene, acetaldehyde, chloromethane, and 1,4-dioxane. And scented detergents were emitting phthalates, which are known endocrine disruptors, and fertility inhibitors. So all of these chemicals that the study showed were being emitted from these laundry detergents, EPA says there is no safe level of exposure to any of them. And even more shocking, none of these chemicals were listed on the ingredients list of these detergents. Some of them were called perfume oils, and I've shared this before, but there is this kind of legal loophole in the US where manufacturers can hide chemicals under this term parfum or fragrance, and they can basically call it a trade secret. And because it's a trade secret, they're not required to disclose what those ingredients are with you, the consumer. And I mentioned this study was old, 2008, but nothing has changed. Under current federal law in the US, laundry detergents are not required to list all of their ingredients on the label or on their website. There are some states that try to get around this, and they have enacted their own legislation. For example, California has this right to know law. In New York, they have requirements on 1,4-dioxane in laundry detergent. So this has kind of forced a little bit of transparency, and we can use that to our advantage and figure out what's going on. And I know some of you may be thinking, who cares about detergent? I'm sure it gets rinsed off in my washing machine. But here's the thing. There is always a residue left. And actually, the residue that is left is intentional, especially if you are using scented products. When I was researching this video, I was looking at, I think it was Gain, and it said that the fresh scent will last 6 weeks. That means even more chemical exposure because, first of all, you're wearing the clothing, it's touching your skin, that residue is getting in, but then you're also hanging the clothing in your closet. You're putting it in your drawers, you're putting it on your bed. And so now it's off-gassing for the next 6 weeks and you're breathing in those chemicals. And not to mention, most of the time, our clothing and bedding is stored in our bedroom where we're spending a good 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And maybe this is okay once in a while, but It is adding up. We are doing this every day of our lives. Okay, so what to do? Because I have some very good things that you can do and some easy ways you can get around this and make some good choices on laundry detergent. I'm actually going to give you 4 ingredients or chemicals that you should avoid. And I even made up this little mnemonic. I will tell you that at the end. The first chemical is 1,4-dioxane. And I've mentioned this before. You will not see this one listed on the label though. So I'm going to tell you how you figure it out. 1,4-dioxane is actually a byproduct of the manufacturing process. And it's actually the process of exhalating alcohols. And when you do that process, there are always trace amounts of 1,4-dioxane. It's just the way it is, and it gets into our detergent. So when you see exhalated surfactants on the label, this could be in your laundry detergent, but also your dishwasher detergent, you know that it's got 1,4-dioxane. I talked about avoiding these in your dishwasher detergent. What these surfactants do is they help kind of clean and foam. They're very effective at that, but they're not good for us. The way to avoid them is you want to look for anything that ends in F, generally. Laureth 6 or sodium laureth sulfate. It's also called SLES or SLS, also stereth. Also, avoid anything abbreviated as a PEG, PEG. I will put up some labels so you can see. I kind of went through and highlighted some of the ingredients that we want to avoid. The second thing you want to avoid are optical brighteners. These are chemicals that make your clothing look whiter and brighter, even if they're not actually cleaner. And essentially, they coat your clothing with a fluorescent layer that reflects light. I kind of think of it as laundry makeup, but again, you're coating your clothing with that residue and then you're wearing it. It's also really bad for our waterways. The number 3 thing you want to avoid are synthetic fragrances. I've talked about this a lot on this channel. Those always contain phthalates. When they're man-made, they contain phthalates. Phthalates are what makes the fragrance kind of stick to the surface. It makes it sticky, and it also makes it last. That's why the Gain can last for 6 weeks on your clothing. But as I've said, these are 100% endocrine disruptors. I'm actually going to dig up a study on this where they studied, I want to say, a couple hundred women, and they had them stop using products with phthalates in them for 30 days. And in that 30-day period, the breast cancer hormone gene turned off. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm just kind of mentioning this because I just remembered it. I'm going to link that study though. This to me is like, holy crap. So I do not use any detergent that has fragrance in it anymore. One little trick, you want to make sure you look for fragrance-free rather than unscented, because sometimes unscented products still have fragrance in them. It's bizarre, but they will put in fragrance to kind of mask the odors of some of these chemicals. So you want to look for fragrance-free. If you still like fragrances, you can still find detergent with fragrances. You just need to look for ones that are natural fragrances, like essential oils and things like that. And then finally, the number 4 thing you want to avoid is formaldehyde. Again, this is a preservative. It's a known carcinogen. It causes skin and lung irritation. It's also linked to eczema. Okay, so here is my little abbreviation so you can remember this. DOFF, DOFF, dioxane, optical brighteners, fragrance, formaldehyde. Maybe that's helpful. What I also made that I think could be helpful is I made this chart. I'm going to put it up right now. If you want to print this out and put it in your laundry room, I personally like to do this. I print out a lot of different lists and hang them in my cabinets so that I can remember what I'm avoiding. And it's just easier for me if I can see it and remember it. And then when I'm going grocery shopping, I kind of can know what to avoid. So I'll link that below if you want to also print it out. I just thought it could be helpful. I'm also going to put on the screen all of the detergents that I have found that are the best. These are non-toxic, but they also work. I did do a lot of research here because there are a lot of good detergents out there that have great chemicals and things in them that don't harm you, but they don't work as well. So I wanted to see if I could figure out, based on reviews and based on what people were saying in their blogs and things, what actually works. Some of these are on Amazon, but others you can find in the grocery store. You can find them at Walmart, Target, wherever you do your shopping. I also have a mix of liquids, powders, strips. One of my awesome subscribers asked specifically about powder in a cardboard box. So I found a really good one. I actually just purchased it. I'm getting really excited to try it. You know, you're getting old when you get excited about laundry detergent, but here we are. This is about $20 for 80 loads. This brand's been around since the 70s, so we'll see how that is, but heard really good things about this one. Oh, I brought these up to show you. I also have these Blue Land tablets that I love. You just stick one in the drum and put your clothing in, and they come with these, you know, you can refill them like that. You can use Dr. Bronner's. This is the Castile soap. This is the refill. They sell them in a plastic container, and then you buy this to refill it or whatever. You could just buy this and use it. It doesn't matter, but that's great as well. So I get a lot of questions about fabric softeners. So let's talk about those. I personally don't use these. Fabric softeners almost always contain something called quats, and I'm going to put up the official name for this. It's quaternary ammonium compounds. This is used to make your clothing feel softer. Quats are very dangerous, and they are known to trigger asthma. They are also potentially toxic to your reproductive system. I mean, they say potentially, but if there's a link there, I'm not interested. These also always have fragrance, so I just don't use them at all. Then dryer sheets. I know a lot of people like dryer sheets, and a lot of you use them in particular because of the reduction in static. I'm not a fan of these either because, again, these are also fragranced and they also contain those quats. Also, if you have pets, just know that they're very toxic to dogs and cats because they're coated with this really corrosive material, and dogs, they eat random things, right? And so if they eat one of those dryer sheets, they could get chemical burns. Just something to consider if you do have pets. What I do use instead, and I love them, and I know a lot of you love them, you told me that you've also tried them, I buy these 100% wool dryer balls. I'm telling you, I have no problem with static when I use these, even in the winter, and where I live, it's very dry. I'm pretty obsessed with them. I think they help my clothes dry faster. My kids like to play with them though, so I'm always losing them and looking around the house and finding them under the couch, but they are great. Okay, and so let's talk about scent boosters and things like scent beads. What's bad with these is they're added to make that residue last even longer. So you know you're getting like a huge whammy of phthalates. And those scent beads actually have plastic in them. So here you are adding microplastics to your wash if you use them. It's really a no-win situation with the scent boosters and the scent beads. So again, I don't recommend these. But listen, don't feel hopeless because now I've given you some good laundry detergent options. I think all of the other stuff you could forgo. That's what I'm doing. I'm using the wool dryer balls. I would say the good news here is once you kind of become aware of this issue and then you know what to look for, you can easily avoid it. You can get around kind of all these weird archaic laws and lax regulations that we have. And I really believe that small changes, just swapping your detergent, can make a huge impact. And as always, the goal is not perfection. I just believe that these small little choices that we make every day can really add up. So thank you so much for watching. And as I mentioned, everything will be linked below if you want to check out any of the safer detergent that I've found. I will also link that printable one-pager if you want to have that. And again, don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I would love to have you here. And if you want to keep on watching, as always, I'm going to link a playlist up there. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.